Obesogens signal the body to store fat. 80% of all users are reporting chronic nausea. 80% of your entire immune system relies on the health of your gut microbiome, the most valuable company in Europe. If you lower inflammation and deal with the underlying causes, you are fixing this on a metabolic level. There's currently nearly 18,000 reported cases of side effects of Ozempic reported to the FDA, including multiple deaths. This is a very serious drug, and this is why Ozempic will eventually be withdrawn from the market. So let's go into, first of all, their health claims, what they are claiming it's going to do for you. We're going to look at their weight loss claims. Then we're going to get into the side effects that have already been noted, and with some very serious black label warnings towards health and even cancer. They say that if you follow the dollar, you'll find the truth. Recently, Novo Nordisk, who is the drug company and manufacturer of Ozempic, just passed LVMH to become the most valuable company in Europe. However, what's interesting is that a lot of European countries have banned Ozempic for the use of weight loss. Last year, they reported an annual profit of over $12.5 billion. Once you go onto a drug like this, they're basically saying you are a lifelong customer. Now, pay attention to this, because these drug companies are after lifelong customers. They are there to profit for the stakeholders. They're not there to make you well. This is the difference between the sickness industry, which is the pharmaceutical complex, and the wellness industry, which is really about helping you take control of your health so that you are not reliant on a system anymore. Now, I have nothing but compassion for people that are struggling in this system. The entire food system and drug model has set you up to fail. There is a perpetual cycle of one feeding into the other. And given the fact that the average woman spends 17 years of her life dieting, it's a horrendous cost, not only to physical health, but also to our mental and emotional health, how we view ourselves, our self-image, our body image. And all of those things feed into an emotional side and a mental side of how we are struggling today. So first of all, let's talk about what drugs like Ozempic actually are. Drugs like Ozempic are GL1P, or glucagon-like peptide 1 incretin hormones, which stimulate the pancreas to release the hormone insulin in response to blood sugar levels. They also act on blood sugar levels themselves by suppressing the amount of blood sugar that is released. Ozempic claims that by taking this injection that you will have improved glycemic control. Now, this is working by stimulating the release of insulin through the pancreas and also by curbing the blood sugar response. Now, one of the issues with this is insulin resistance is the driving major cause of all metabolic dysfunction. You can't just fix this problem by pumping the body full of more insulin. It's going to end up driving insulin resistance deeper, leading to severe long-term side effects of that, such as neurological conditions as we age. It also claims to have some cardiovascular benefits. There seems to be a slight improvement with some of the biomarkers for cardiovascular disease. Now, that is most likely due to the reduction of body weight. They're suggesting that you can lose around 12 to 15% of your body weight over a year. However, research has shown that 39 to 40% of that refers to lean body mass. This means that you're not just losing fat cells, you are exponentially breaking down protein and muscle and the very tissues and structures that hold your body together. When you're going into a weight loss journey, you need to protect your muscle mass. That lean muscle mass is vital for health. And this drug is now showing that we are losing a huge amount of lean muscle mass and body mass. This is really frightening. They're suggesting that you can lose around 12 to 15% of your body weight over a year. Now let's break that down into a tangible example of what results you may expect with a drug like this. If you are a 200-pound person, you could expect to lose up to around 30 pounds annually. That's around 0.577 pounds a week on average. Or to put that into kilograms, that's around 13.6 kilograms a year, or around 0.26 of a kg per week. Now, as a weight loss coach, that is not a great result at all. There are other ways of actually ensuring that you are protecting against the loss of lean muscle mass and lean body mass, and actually tapping into fat cells themselves and actually burning fat as fuel instead of this other system, which is not only claiming to break down fat cells, but you're breaking down protein, which is essential for longevity and health, particularly as we age. Now let's get into the side effects of Ozempic. 80% of all users are reporting chronic nausea. 80%. It works basically by paralyzing the stomach. Now the payoff to that is that it's going to slow down the transit time of food digestion between the stomach and the small intestine, and that potentially leads to the feelings of being fuller for longer. Now, the issue with that is that your microbiome is deeply impacted as a result of this. This drug is causing stomach paralysis. Hence, 80% of people are reporting chronic nausea. We also have 30% of users reporting frequent vomiting. So this is causing really some extremely uncomfortable side effects that people then have to live with. Some of the other gastrointestinal issues relating to drugs like Ozempic are not just nausea and vomiting, but also diarrhea and constipation. Another side effect is gallbladder disease, and this includes not only inflammation of the gallbladder, but also gallstones themselves. And this is possibly relating to excretion hormones and digestive bile enzymes being impacted through this entire system of it affecting the gut microbiome and digestion itself. One of the side effects frequently reported by men is erectile dysfunction. So they go off to their doctor and then they're prescribed tablets and more medications, more pharmaceuticals to try and offset that. Many reports have come through that those drugs are not actually working to solve the erectile dysfunction anyway. So something else is going on with this drug. Another side effect that is well documented is hypoglycemia, particularly when taken with other diabetes medications that have an impact on insulin. Another massive warning has been issued to suicidal ideation. In fact, the drug label itself states that anybody that has had previous suicide attempts should not be put onto this drug. And the reason why this would be and why it is causing such a massive problem in terms of mood, depression, and suicidal ideation is because it is impacting deeply the gut microbiome. Now, the gut microbiome is the seat of your entire immune system. 80% of your entire immune system, at least, relies on the health of your gut microbiome. The gut microbiome doesn't just take care of the gut and bowel health. 80% at least of your feel-good hormones, such as serotonin, is produced in the gut by having a healthy microbiome, which means the gut microbiome itself is the major production source of your feel-good neurotransmitters. Now, if we are taking drugs in, such as Ozempic, we are damaging the microbiome, we are shutting down the full potential of these feel-good hormones. And that's why 75% of the cases reported of suicidal ideation and depression are coming from people that have never had a history of these things before. So this isn't just something that's triggering something that was a predisposition for a person. This is a chronic situation. One of the negative side effects that is written in their own literature in the warnings is pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas. Now here we are, we have a GLP-1 incretin hormone that is working directly on the pancreas to stimulate the hormone insulin, yet the side effect of that is inflammation of the pancreas. Anybody that has had any issues with the pancreas in the past should stay very, very clear of this. This is a warning to everybody. Now, one of the more frightening side effects, which is written within their own literature, within their warnings themselves, is thyroid cancer, thyroid tumours, okay? This clear warning is showing that there could be an increase in thyroid C-cell tumours. Now, this is most likely due to the impact of the hypothalamus pituitary thyroidal axis. Now, the thyroid is one of the master glands responsible for metabolism and for the balance of how our body is receiving information in terms of food and energy expenditure, and it will regulate through homeostasis how much we will maintain what's called the body set point. The body set point is like an inbuilt thermometer. It tells us that this is the weight we need to stay at. Now, as we go on a weight loss journey, if we have managed over time to reset our body weight set point, then it doesn't matter how much weight we lose on a drug like Ozempic. That body set point is already set to the current weight that you are. So you come off a drug like this, what's going to happen? The body set point is going to go boom, you're going to regain the weight. This is one of the major drivers why sustained weight loss over time never works, because if we're not correcting the body set point through having the right diet, putting the right information into the body to reverse all these underlying metabolic conditions, your body is guaranteed to regain that weight. Now, if we take a drug like metformin or we take a drug like these GLP-1s and we decide in our infinite wisdom that by correcting sensitivity to insulin is the answer, we could be further driving insulin resistance in the body, which perpetuates the disease itself over time. We're not correcting the underlying causes, which are the high carbohydrate intakes. The human body is not designed to have the level of carbohydrate we are consuming today. That is the fundamental driver behind all of these chronic metabolic diseases today. And when we talk about metabolic diseases, we're not just talking about pre-diabetes or diabetes itself or insulin resistance. We're also referring to cancers. We're referring to all sorts of different impacts within the systems. And the most frightening one is dementia and Alzheimer's and other neurological diseases, which are primarily driven by an inability for the brain to absorb glucose to fuel the energy of the brain, and therefore we are over time literally killing off brain cells. So you may look at a drug such as Ozempic as the band-aid to fix a weight issue in the here and now, but again, the potential long-term side effects of that to drive neurological degeneration and cancers and other metabolic diseases is not being addressed. So let's get into the actual cause of obesity, and it's not just as simple as saying it's food, it's what you eat. There are three different models really that we understand when it comes to weight. Now, I'm going to completely destroy the first model, which is the model that we've all been told. We've been told that energy in and energy out equals your weight balance, right? We've been told this whole entire lie around calories and kilojoules. Now, there are no receptor sites on the body for calories. The body doesn't understand what a calorie is. In fact, all we're really doing is we're giving the body information based on macronutrients and micronutrients. The macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And depending on the balance of a meal in those three macronutrients, and then the breakdown of the micronutrients themselves, we are giving our body information. And that information is directing the body to either store fat or lose fat. Now, a second theory on weight is to do with carbohydrate and insulin and fat storage. The more carbohydrate we eat, the more blood sugar rises in the body, the more insulin is produced, and any excess energy that the body can't store because we've had too much carbohydrate in a meal, which is, by the way, majority of meals today, then insulin will wrap a fat cell around that extra energy and it will store it for later use. Now, this hypothesis has a lot of weight. However, there's another missing piece of the puzzle here, which is super important to understand, and that is something called obesogens. So obesogens are hormone-mimicking chemicals that we are ingesting either through our food or through the environment that basically contribute to metabolic dysfunction. A way of putting this into simple terms is obesogens signal the body to actually store fat. So you can take two 500-calorie meals, and if you have one that is, for instance, a Big Mac, which contains high amounts of obesogens, combined with all of the other chemicals in terms of it being an ultra-processed food. And that information, as that breaks down in the body, is telling the body to store more than 500 calories, okay? You might store 700 calories out of a 500 calorie Big Mac. Now, the alternative meal, to give you an example here, might be 350 grams of salmon, right? Now that 500 calories of salmon is going to break down completely different. A Big Mac is pro-inflammatory. It's going to drive inflammatory markers up. It's going to signal your body to store more and more fat. It puts you into a store fat mode, whereas salmon is actually going to tell the body to burn fat. It's going to drive down inflammation because of various micronutrients in it, such as omega-3 fatty acids, which are deeply anti-inflammatory. So the whole argument of food itself and calories itself, everyone needs to understand it's just a lie. It's an absolute lie. Food is information. The information that creates the building blocks of health and longevity, or accelerated aging, metabolic disease, and obesity. So weight gain and obesity is a metabolic disease. It is a metabolic condition based on metabolic dysfunction. And there's a number of driving reasons behind that. First of all, the information that we put into our body is going to either fuel our mitochondria, which are these battery cells in our energy production, with either glucose or something called ketone bodies. Now, when we have a lower carbohydrate diet and we're not burdening our body with these high glycemic, ultra-processed foods, right, that not only contain obesogens, but they also release energy so quickly that our body has to get rid of the excess glucose. So because of homeostasis, the body's going to want to get rid of all of that sugar by dumping it into fat cells. Now, to give you an idea of how much sugar we actually need, your body will try and maintain around 5 grams of glucose in your bloodstream. That is around a teaspoon of sugar, right? So anything above 5 grams in a meal, the body is going to have to discharge. It's going to have to do something with that extra energy because it just doesn't require it. Now, one of the key issues we have with obesogens and ultra-processed foods is its impact on something called ROS, reactive oxygen species. These are basically chemically reactive molecules that contain oxygen. Now, too much of these in the body is going to drive up oxidative stress. And reactive oxygen species have a role in cell signaling and homeostasis. So they are, when they're in balance, designed to keep everything in a state of checks and balances. The issue with high carbohydrate diets and the issue with ultra-processed foods is that there is too much of this going on in the body. And there is a big impact because of this in terms of mitochondrial health. And this leads to the enlargement of adipose sites, which are your fat cells. So again, over time, these fat cells are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of these reactive oxygen species in the body. We want to reduce reactive oxygen species, and there's really only one way to do that, and that is to remove all ultra-processed foods and to help the body metabolically. And there is really only 2 ways of doing that, and that is through prolonged fasting or a healthy whole foods ketogenic diet. That is going to drive down inflammation across the board within your body. It's going to help resensitize all of the systems and the organs within the body to the impacts of insulin so that your body can literally fix the underlying root cause of obesity. Also, a healthy ketogenic diet is going to ensure that you are detoxifying from obesogens so that your body is then able to completely restore metabolic health. If you lower inflammation and deal with the underlying causes, you are fixing this on a metabolic level. Now, you can take a drug like Ozempic, but make no mistake, you're not fixing any of the fundamental reasons or causes that you've become overweight or obese over time. There is only one solution, and that is to understand the information that you're giving your body. If you continue to eat an ultra-processed diet, if you continue to eat the diet that caused this problem in the first place, you're setting yourself up for long-term failure. You're also giving yourself some shocking impacts on your immune system, your gut microbiome, and your mood. So it's really important to understand the cost and the payoff of taking a pharmaceutical drug like this. There is no magic pill. There is no magic pill. The only solution is to empower yourself with knowledge and wisdom around how to eat well and to change your relationship with food. This whole quick fix band-aid that we are touting now as the solution isn't going to deal with your relationship with food. It's not going to help you with food addiction itself. These are the primary factors that keep you locked in a box, right? The ultra-processed food industry is designed to get you addicted and keep you addicted. And now the drug companies respond because one causes the problem, which is big food, the other tries to create the band-aid. And make no mistake, these food companies and these shareholders and stakeholders of these companies are closely linked. Well, we have a choice. We can wake up to see what's going on and we can say, you know what? I actually don't want any part of that. I'm not going to risk those horrendous side effects for a quick fix that will have no long-term results, that's not going to fix my metabolic dysfunction, that's not going to help me with my relationship with food, that's going to lead me towards not living my best life instead of living my best life. And we have to decide, no, this drug is not for me. I want to choose something else. And finally, I'm going to face reality that there is no quick fix for weight loss. This takes commitment. It takes a bit of energy. And the problem is that system has destroyed your energy to a point where to do something about it is problematic to begin with. You've got to do the small incremental things over time that are going to have the biggest impacts on your metabolic health. That's why a healthy whole foods ketogenic diet is the fastest way to fix the mitochondrial dysfunction that is leading to all of this, but you need support to do that.